Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I have another amazing guest with me today. This is Ignacio. We met at Spirit Fest, and we had a great conversation there. And I'm super excited to have you on my podcast today. So thank you for coming and agreeing to be my guest.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You have quite the amazing story. So I'd love for you to just share with the listeners today, as much as you feel comfortable sharing.
Um, yeah. So I'm open to talk about anything that happened along with this whole, my history, things like that. But is there any specific that you would like me to touch on or just
Well, why don't we start by telling people what you do? And then we'll get into your backstory a little bit.
okay. So what I do is I read energy. I'm very sensitive to energy. I do readings for people, things like dream readings. Um, I can pick up on things, and I guess that's not necessarily normal. Um, so that's how I'm able to help people. But I didn't know this about myself until like maybe 4 years ago. So my life was like there was a big part of my life that I did not understand, and I just kind of just was living my life as the best as I could, um, considering everything that happened. So I know like when I was a kid, I didn't know why things would happen, but looking back on it now, it makes sense. For example, like I used to get sick a lot as a kid, but I didn't know it at the time, but I was picking up energies from the people around me, and I would have like fevers and hallucinations, see things that aren't there, things like that. Um, so I've always been somebody who's very sensitive to energy around me. So and that's been a benefit to me to use like for things that I've done in my life. But some other times like it kind of like I didn't know why things were happening. Actually a very uncomfortable experience for me. So I didn't
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable when you don't know what the heck is happening. It's very scary, and you're like, man, am I going crazy? Which is actually the way a lot of people start out feeling in the spiritual world. And even on up into like years and years of experience, decades of experience, sometimes we'll still have experiences that we think, holy crap, am I losing it or is this for real? So that's a very, very common reaction to the spiritual side of things, energies and seeing spirits and experiencing things like that. It's definitely pretty wild sometimes.
Yeah, and just picking up on things that you might not even realize, hey, this is not mine. This is not mine. And I'm in a crowded place or something like that, or picking up things like, wait, is this me? That was a big thing for me growing up. It's like when I'm a crowded thing and I'm feeling all these things and I'm thinking it's me, but it really is not. It's the vibes that I'm picking up off of everybody, and it can be overwhelming
Hmm. It
if
really
you
can
don't know.
be
Because I didn't
overwhelming.
have the yeah, because I didn't have the grown-ups leading me. Like they didn't understand who this kid is. Like they didn't understand me, so they couldn't guide me. Like, hey, this is who you are. This like you should be mindful of these things. But I didn't have any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you start figuring it out that it was other people that you were picking up on and not just you?
It was a sudden realization for me. Like, well, it was my mentor. When I met my mentor, he was like, "Oh, you're a highly sensitive person." And that line right there, he said to me, is like, I started to look back at my life and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." Things that I just brushed off, I started to look at in a different light. For example, like I used to coach kids soccer, and um, there was this one 12-year-old girl who never played before, and she came to the team, and I remember our first game. I had prepared as much as I could. She's never played a game before, but she looked at the field for the first time and it looks huge. And I
Mm.
remember she was standing right next to me, and I remember feeling fear in the right side of my body. But I'm like, yo, I'm not scared. I've done this for years. Like I love
Yeah.
this game. I know I'm not scared. So I was like, huh, that's odd. Why am I feeling fear? Because it was not. But she was standing to my right side,
Yeah.
and it was in the right side of my body. So it was like, oh. And then I look back on it, I was like, wait a minute. I was feeling her fear that she was like frozen solid. She was so
Oh,
scared. Um, and so from there, I was like, oh, I realized it. But by the way, she scored that season and she like one
oh,
goal. And that was like, yeah, I did a lot of work with kids, and that's kind of a passion of mine, playing ball
yeah,
and things like that. But looking back through my life, then it's like once my mentor gave me that little piece of information, I was like looking back and oh, wait a minute, this goes here, like this is what's going on here. And then I just started kind of putting it together. But it was my mentor that actually helped me to realize like a lot of these things.
yeah. So how did you meet your mentor? How did you come in contact with him?
Um, so I had a lot of health problems in my life. Like I said, growing up, I used to get sick, and then um even to my early 20s, I've had chronic pain conditions, stomach issues, headaches, all kinds of things. So I'm used to going to the doctors and things like that. But when 2020 came around, it got really bad for me to the point where I couldn't walk and I couldn't go to work. I couldn't barely move. Like I couldn't sleep. It was it was really bad. And so I had already kind of looked for spiritual help before because the doctors wasn't doing it for me. So I had looked for help before, psychics, things like that. But this time, I kind of had a feeling like where this is going, I kind of like I kind of knew what I needed. And so I looked for that. And then I found him on a website and I was like, he looks legit. Like I want to talk to him. And that's when it kind of started for me. But that whole it was like it was very uncomfortable. It was very painful. Everything. It was just yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. So you
That's
said
how
you
bad
had
it was.
physical symptoms that was related to the spiritual stuff that was going on. You said you weren't able to walk.
But yeah, yeah. Well, there was a lot of energy stuck in my body. It was not moving, and I'm sure you will understand that our bodies are energy systems,
Yes.
and due to the childhood that I had a lot of stuck energy in my body, like a lot of stuck energy.
Hmm. Yeah. And so how did he help you move that through so that you were able to regain your physical abilities again?
So the first session was pretty intense that I had with him. He he helped me. Well, it felt like it was already ready to come out. So what he did was he helped me just to be there with it, understand it. So in that first session, I um I remember I started feeling under my ribs two generators just start to spin, spin, spin like this. It just turned on, and it felt very strong energy, and then it went up to my head and down my legs and all over my body, and it kind of like it paralyzed my face a little bit. Like I couldn't open my eyes. I could barely talk. I was talking like this. Like it was like serious stuff, and I never experienced anything like this. And it was coming out of my hands, and my hands got wet
Hmm.
from all the movement. It was like somebody put water in my hands. So it was
Oh.
this very strong like release of all of everything that was that was like stuck. It was finally movement. It wasn't painful. It was a little scary, but I knew I needed to allow this to happen. Like I understood like this needs to happen. So it wasn't like I'm in danger. It was more like this is intense. This is a ride. Like it was like I'm plugged into an outlet or something like that. It
Hmm.
was like legit just, but I knew that it needed to happen. I knew it. I just knew it. So I didn't try to resist it. I didn't try to get in the way. I was like, just gonna let it happen. Just gonna let it happen.
Yeah. So what kind of session was this? I mean, that sounds incredibly intense. Like the physical, sensations in your body and everything, that had to be, really kind of frightening, like you said. But what kind of session was this? Was this like Reiki or some kind of something different?
Um, it was he's very deep. And so it's like talk. We talked our way into the deep. Um, he's like a guide, pretty much. He's a
Okay.
guide that helped me guide me to that point where I needed to go and I need to see. Um, that part of myself. I needed to see it, and I needed to. So he just got me there. Um, but like I said, I was at that point where I just like I was ready for that. My body was ready. Like I couldn't keep going the way I was living. Like it it was just waiting to be opened up, that whatever was there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how long did this session take place? How long was it when you were experiencing all of these sensations in your body like that?
So the session was an hour. I would say that the sensation started pretty early on, so maybe like 10, 15 minutes into the session, it just started. So and this happened multiple times. Like this became like a kind of like a normal thing in the sessions. Like even sometimes when I'm meditating, sometimes I feel it, but it's a little different now. It's just like it was very intense back then.
Yeah. Yeah, probably because it's you had so much energy that needed to be moved through that it was like forcing it out. So I can imagine it would have been a lot more intense. So after the first session, how did your body react? Was it an immediate thing after the session once your body kind of calmed down and integrated all of that to where you were able to move, or did it take multiple sessions until you were able to actually regain your physical abilities again?
It took a long time. It took a long time. It was I remember I was seeing him once a week for months. It was a very intense process, but like I said earlier, like I understood like this is the only way for me. Like I have to continue to go into this. Like I have to face this. There's nothing else for me to do right now. Like I could barely sleep at a time. And every time that we did that, it got a little easier. Not a whole lot because it was like everything was so heavy, um but I remember thinking like I remember feeling afraid of the next session. I was like, "Oh my God, this is gonna hurt." I know it's gonna hurt because it wasn't just the energy, it was tears. There was a lot going on in those sessions, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
remember feeling like, "Oh my God, this is gonna be painful." I already know. So I'm scared of the next session, but I have to I had to face it. Like I finally got the answers that I've been looking for all my life.
yeah,
I'm not just like I have to go. Like there's no, you know what I mean? So I was scared, but I was
right.
like, well, you know, I still got to show up because this is for me. Like I'm finally here, a point where I can finally get all these answers. I'm getting these answers that I've been looking for a long time. So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah. And it's amazing when those answers come, but it is scary. It is very scary because you've known everything to be a certain way. And then when you start into this shift and things start happening, you know you need to progress, but it's just it's so different. The unknown is a very scary place to be for most people.
this it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And the way I experienced it too, it was like the curtains fell down and it just everything that I thought my life was. It just crumbled. Everything was just destroyed, but it needed to be destroyed.
Yeah,
And how it I experienced it too, it was like every 2 weeks or so. It was like my brain would give me back a memory of my childhood that I didn't have before. I mean, it was there, but I didn't have access to it. So it was like we're doing these sessions, and then I'm getting a memory back, extremely painful. Like some of them had sounds of my screams. It was like this is like so messed up to even, you know, say out loud because I haven't talked about this to with anybody, just my mentor and me. But so I would get this memory, but there's a purpose for that memory. It's like I needed to look at it through my adult, mature version, just to
right.
remember what happened. But I didn't. I thought I had like I tried to convince myself I had a normal childhood, but every 2 weeks I'll get another memory that came back and it was just destroying everything that I believed about my childhood. Just and it felt like I was getting pulled deep into the ocean of the soul, of my soul, right? I'm getting pulled deep. And then I finally get to breathe a little bit. I was like, okay, okay, I think I'm okay. And then when I get to that point, here go another one. Boom, gets plugged in. I'm deeper again and again and
Yeah,
again. I'm so deep. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? It was like
yeah,
that's how my year was that year. I was like, all right, hold on. I think I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it. Then here we go again. Let's go. You ready? Let's go again. And we just, it was so deep. Like I just kept getting pulled deeper and deeper. And that's what it was.
Yeah. And what was your reaction to that? I mean, like I can hear in your voice how intense it was and how like you almost were overwhelmed by it. But now looking at it, how do you feel like the that your life has changed since you've experienced those things?
Well, it wasn't, so it was extremely painful, a lot of tears, but I was also getting visions and signs and everything. Like, so I'm getting like supported by
Yes,
the universe. So I'm getting support. I'm getting all these visions. I'm hearing, I heard a voice tell me you know what I'm saying? Like, just keep going. Just keep taking care of yourself. Like, and I'm seeing like the grid of the earth and just like how I'm not the only one. Like we came in
yeah,
deep, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of
yes,
us here. You're not the only one. Like you're not alone. Just keep
right.
going. That's what I was getting through that. So it wasn't like it was all bad, but my heart kept breaking. It kept breaking open. It kept breaking. And it
Yeah,
needed to. And so how that benefits me now is like the vision, the perspective that I have, like I feel like I'm privileged. I feel like I'm privileged. And you know, like saying this, we all have our privileges and disadvantages in our life, what we're born with. But what has that taught me is like to own my privileges. Like I might not have certain things, like I can't play ball right now, but I could still walk and jog a little bit, you know what I mean? But the
right.
perspective that I have to help people is like it's a privilege. It's a privilege. So even though everything that happened that I went through, it was for a purpose. I mean, so it gave me like a higher perspective on my life and it gave me, like I said, the answers to what I was looking for my purpose. Like why did everything happen the way that it did? And so it gave me understanding. It blessed me with a lot of things. I mean, yeah, you know, it came at a price, but I think that I mean I'm meant to be here.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I feel that. I felt that the first time I met you. I was just drawn over to you like a magnet. Like, what's this guy's story? I just felt this was an amazing thing that we needed to discuss and get out there for other people to understand. Because one of the big things that I love to get out with my podcast is that this journey looks different for everyone, right? There's no right or wrong way to do it. We each have our individual life experience in our human body. So that looks, our spiritual experience is also going to be different. So for people to hear, this is a new perspective that I haven't had on my podcast before. So I'm super grateful for you to come on here and share this because it is, I can tell how overwhelming it was for you as you traveled through this. So I'm deeply grateful for you coming on here and sharing this with everyone. So, because I feel like it's really important for people to understand that it's not always easy, because some people are like, oh, spirituality, let's, like meditate for a minute, get enlightened, and everything is all sunshine and rainbows. And it doesn't always look like that. Sometimes the journey through these crazy things is very deep and dark and painful and intense and very overwhelming sometimes. So, I truly appreciate you.
Well, thank you for inviting me and creating this space. The reason why I haven't talked to like no one about this is because, well, not everyone can handle this type of deepness, or you know what I'm saying? Like I can't just like find people to talk, and I don't, not that I want to, you know what I mean? Like but I appreciate the space that you've created here, just to be and your ability to be able to handle this information because you know it takes us, you know, like a certain level of compassion and understanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it truly
Um,
does. And the thing about it is that the people that we're talking to right now that are listening in to this, they're looking for this kind of information. And that's the beauty of talking about it is that you may not realize someone needs to hear your story, but they do because maybe they're in that place that you were in and they don't know what the hell to do with it. They're like, I don't even know what to look for. I don't even know where to go, who to talk to. And am I going crazy? I mean, you remember you felt that way. There's someone out there that's feeling that too. So by listening to your story, there's going to be all of these things that you say that resonate with them that are going to help them find their way and their path through all of that deep, heavy stuff and get to the light like you've been able to do. So that's the beauty in talking about it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying there. And I will share this too. There was a moment where there was a time where after I opened everything up, well, you can't close it. There's
Right.
no way. You cannot, like once you open it, you open it. And I remember every time I closed my eyes, it was like a nightmare. I felt like I was seeing all these darkness, dark things, everything like that. And I couldn't sleep. Like I remember like staying up till 5 in the morning. I had to have the TV on. I needed background noise because every time I closed my eyes, I was in like it was nightmares. It was nightmares like and I kind of make a joke about like, yo, somebody did some, voodoo on me or what? But it wasn't
Right.
that. It was like it was this it was me. It was part of myself that had been locked away for so long that once it opened, it was like it was just coming out.
Yeah.
And that was a scary thing. That was a scary, it was scary, but like I had support through it from my mentor and everything like that. So I'm thankful for that. But it looks scary sometimes.
Yeah. It really does. So I love that you had a mentor through this because so many people don't. And like I said, they don't even know what to do with it when they start experiencing this. They don't know where to look. So I'm super grateful for you that you had a mentor. How important would you say that was for you? I mean, I can feel it, but I would love for the people listening to be able to hear you say how important that mentor was for you and how much would you recommend that to someone else who's beginning on this crazy journey?
Well, he saved my life. Like I couldn't have done it. I was so like I was in so much pain, so lost that I didn't know what to do. And it was getting really bad where I was worried for my life. You know what I'm saying? Like it was bad. And so when I met him, it's like he just gave me this hand that I needed. And he just like I can't thank him enough for what he did for me. It's been that kind of thing. And I'm still in contact with him, that's something that I don't want to ever lose, you know what I mean? Or I'm glad that I still have him in my life and stuff like that. So I would definitely recommend reaching for the right help because for me it wasn't the doctors, it wasn't the regular psychologists or whatever. That didn't they didn't know what to do with me. And I've
Right.
tried that. I tried that and it's like well they don't got the answers for me. So I had to find some other way, some other because at some point you keep looking for the same answers. If you go to the doctors or these people, you keep looking for, hey, give me this answer, give me this answer. And well, they don't got it. They don't
Right.
got it because that was me. I did that. I did that. They don't got it. And I mean, that's just my experience with it.
Hmm. Yeah. So for someone out there who's especially, and I love that you're a guy because so many people think, that this is spirituality somehow more for women or something like that. But it is for everyone. It's for everyone. And I love that you're like this strong male energy and you have this perspective on things because there's a guy out there right now, I know listening to this when it airs that is going, oh my God, I can totally relate to this guy. What does he need to do? What does he need to know about where to go to find someone to mentor him through this, like you, the person that helped you?
Um, so I would say that it's not when I found my mentor, he wasn't the first one that I reached out for. I reached out to more people, and the people before him, like they were good at what they did. I just felt like I needed to find the right person for me. It
Yeah.
was because I felt like my situation it was so like it was so deep. So I needed the right person. And then
Hmm.
when I met him, like I knew like this is the guy.
Yeah.
So I would say follow your intuition on that. Like go look for help, but don't just settle like just because you feel like you need to, oh, this got to be the person. No, like, do you really feel like, don't be afraid to just be like, this is not for me. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Because that's what I did. That's what helped me. It was like until I found like it felt like it felt good. It felt safe. It felt like yeah, this is it. And once you got that, then that's what it is. And just trust yourself with it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great piece of advice because not enough of us. trust ourselves. And that's a huge piece of the spirituality thing is learning to trust yourself. So where did you go to find your mentor? Did you go online? Did you go on like listen to podcasts? Did you do a Google search? How did you find him?
I went to I went to a website that had practitioners. So it was do you know who Teal Swan is?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Well, she is a spiritual teacher that teaches focuses on shadow work.
Hmm.
And there's a program there with practitioners. And I went to that website and I looked through a bunch of people because you could see the specialty of the people that they do like um inner child work or different kinds of work, maybe the type of traumas that you have. And
Hmm.
so I just looked through it and I talked to a couple of the people and then that's where I found the person that helped me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that you didn't stop at the first person and just go with that because they've had some kind of background in it. That I love that you listened to and trusted your soul with the message of you need to keep looking and this isn't quite not a it's not a bad person, but it's not quite the right person for you. And then you moved on until you found that special person that was meant to help you. I love that.
Yeah, and the people that I saw, I mean, they were beautiful souls, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were beautiful souls. It was just that I just had to connect with the one that's for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's so, so important. And then you got through all that, and you've been on this journey for about 4 years, you said. So, how long before you started getting into your own doing of the work with the dream interpretations and things like that?
So it's been really more than 4 years. Like I started to research for answers in like 2013. That's when I
Okay.
started to look into the spiritual. That's when I really learned about spirituality. I started learning and all these things. It was just that 2020, everything I had learned from up to that point, from 2013 to 2020, helped me. That's why I knew I didn't need to get in the way of things. Needed to let it happen. So
Right.
from 2013 to 2020, 'cause in 2015, I spoke to my first psychic, which was awesome. Like it was an amazing experience. And the universe just kept taking care of me, giving me more and more information as I was, once you're ready, the information comes.
Yes, it
And
does.
so I kept doing that. And in 2020 it was like, okay, you're ready now. It's go time. It's go time. You need to, you know what I'm saying? That's what it was. And that whole year, it was like the kind of like, it was like an intense, just the level up was crazy. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it, but it was so wild. So that whole year went by. I think it was 21 where I started to help people. And even before all of this happened, I still was kind of like the friend that was helping people, and I always kind of, had that vibe about me. But after that, it was like I received the training, I received like all this information, all these everything, the downloads, everything, plus, everything to support all of it. So now it took me to another level, is what
Hmm.
it did. It was like, okay, now I can use my gifts, and actually I know what's going on now
Right.
because of everything that was destroyed about my life. It wasn't like I could see my life for what it was now instead of like what I thought it was. So that it was a huge level up for me.
Yeah, it's amazing the illusion that we live under for so long, isn't it? It's incredible. Like that's
Yeah.
a that's so crazy. So when you first started looking into things in 2013, what did that look like for you? Were you just listening to podcasts, reading books? What were you doing to help yourself
I was on
understand it
YouTube.
better? YouTube. Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Me
on
too.
YouTube. Yeah, so it was man, so my life has not been easy. It was one of those times where I was like, it was dark times for me. So I remember like I used to watch this guy on YouTube that he was talking about the spiritual. He was the first one um that kind of introduced me to him. And and I remember I just watched this video every day, just because I didn't have a whole lot in my life at that point that felt good. And his videos did that for me. So
And who
that's
was it?
kind
Do
of
you
why.
mind sharing?
Yeah, it was Ralph Smart, Infinite Waters. So he was do you know who that is?
I don't know who that is. I'll have to
Well,
check him
he
out.
started out, yeah. So back in the day, like I think it wasn't he was starting out. He was already kind of big, but he was just putting videos out every day, and he one of his videos was like got me thinking about everything that we think is real or we've been lied to kind of thing. It's like this is
Mm,
true, and I was like, and I really took to that. I was like, yo, this video really opened my mind,
yeah,
and so I just kept going with that. But that's where I kind of tapped in first in 2013.
yeah. And then who else did you listen to?
Well, from there on, I just it was so for me, it's been like so it was Ralph Smart, then it was Teal Swan, Matthias Gustavo De Stefano. You know Matthias?
Yes.
Um, I mean, there's so many over the years that it's those are the ones that come to mind for me that started me on the path.
Yeah.
But then there's other podcasts as well. I mean, it's something that I like I need it in my life, you know. It's like
Yeah.
I need this type of conversations. I need this type of information. Dolores Cannon, another one. I mean, just keeps coming up, you know.
Yeah.
There's just it's like I went through stages of listening to I want to listen to this person and then I want to listen to this person and I want to listen to this person and this person. Because if everybody's saying something similar or if there's information here, then it's gotta be some truth to it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
gotta be something. And then I just want to see this person's energy, and then I want to go over here and see this person's energy and see this. So it just depends. I just go, oh, recently it's been like Robert Edward Grant. I don't know if you know him, but he's got a podcast. It's awesome. I just go through like stages of like watching this person, that person. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's just
Yeah, I do the same thing. I love that you used YouTube because that's not, like that's my story. That's why I started this podcast because I'm like I want to carry that on. One of my favorite people on this planet is Wayne Dyer and he's crossed over now and I was so impacted by his videos and everything that he did in his books and everything that I'm like, I know he's not here anymore, but I can carry on that type of energy, that helping energy and putting the information out there like that. And so I love that. And I love that you mentioned Dolores Cannon. I'm actually reading her book right now, The Convoluted Universe. I'm reading the first one in the series and it is fascinating. And I'm sitting there reading it and I'm going, oh my God, this makes so much sense to me. It's like I've been waiting for this information. It's so incredible.
I love her voice. I kind of look at her like the cosmic grandma kind of thing because her voice is just calming to me. It's like I just love
Yeah.
listening to her. So yeah.
Yeah. She's so real. She's very
Um,
matter of fact. And I actually just interviewed a lady who knew her in person. I didn't realize she had crossed over that long ago. It's been 10
Yeah,
years.
it's 2012. Yeah, I think it was,
Crazy.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it had been that long, but yeah, it was. And I still listen to her videos and stuff, and that's why I wanted to get her books and read them because I mean, golly,
That's
that
awesome.
that
That's
lady's a
awesome.
plethora of knowledge.
Um, I do want to share something that came up for me, like
Yeah.
while we were talking. So, you can just share with you, you can just share with me what you think about it. But I remember, like, then this came out while I was talking about the process. I remember this memory kept coming back for me, and at first, I didn't think much of it, but it kept popping back up in my mind. And it was a childhood memory. It was a Christmas. It was like I remember it was for me this one memory I was holding on to because I thought like this memory here is like yeah I had a good childhood. I have good memories from childhood. It kept popping up, and every time it popped up, I was like oh yeah I remember that was a good time. And then it kept popping up. Oh yeah it was a good time. I was like, and then it popped up once. I was like, all right, hold on, wait a minute. What do you want to show me here? Why does this memory keep popping up? What is it? So I sat with it. I was like, all right, let me break this down. And so I remember it was a memory of me, and I was we had went over to my auntie's house for Christmas one year, and my cousins, everybody was there. It was a lot of family. And so for me, I remember feeling really good. You know, there was presents, all that thing. But what I didn't realize at the time was like I felt good because I was safe, because there were witnesses and nobody could come and hurt me
Oh,
like they
wow.
did when we was at home. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I had to dive into that. And so I feel like sometimes the memories, they come back because you need to look at them and break them down.
Yes.
And that was for me was painful because I was holding on to that memory like, yo, I had a good childhood. I have good memories. I wanted to hold on to it. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you got to look at it. And it wasn't because of the reasons what I thought it was. And I needed
Yeah.
to look at it. And that's why it kept popping up. So anytime a memory keeps popping up for me, it's like, all right, hold on. What we got going on here? Because
Yeah.
that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned. So that, that might be of help to somebody out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I believe that when things like that keep coming up, we definitely need to take a deeper look at them because there is a reason that it keeps on showing up again and again and again. It's not something that needs to be ignored. It's, we got to pay attention, like you said. And so many people don't. They don't pay attention. And I know you and I both lived like that for a really long time before we
Yeah.
got ourselves in more in alignment, and that's not a perfect thing with this human factor that we have going on. It's something we have to be mindful of every day. But it does get easier as you progress through things. But thank you for bringing that up because I do feel like that's a very important concept for people to take notice of.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about your dream interpretations and what you do personally to help people navigate this crazy spiritual experience we have.
Yeah, yeah. So I love dreams. I had one last night that was pretty no, it was pretty interesting actually, but I've always been like a strong dreamer. I guess like I've dreamed a lot all the time. And when I was a kid, I used to get these dreams where it was the same dream night after night after night after night. So it was like a replay. Somebody was just playing the same dream. And I remember waking up scared. I was like, oh man, what's going on? But I wouldn't share that dream with my family because I didn't trust them. I was not safe. So I would just keep them to myself.
Yeah.
And I remember it was like two or three dreams from my childhood that are just burned into my memory. And so when I met my mentor, it's like I brought them to him and he helped me. He's the one that helped me through the process of interpreting these dreams. And so anytime that I would have a dream, I would bring it to him and he helped me to understand like what's the meaning behind it, the messages, all of that stuff. He would help me. And so I did so many with him that that's how I learned to do it. And also because I have, I guess, the gift of sight, like of reading energy, all of these things. So that makes me like a really good person to also guide and help people in this same way, in a similar way.
Right.
And I wouldn't say the same way. I would say it's a similar way because he has his own medicine. I have my own medicine. We all have our own unique medicine. It's just about, how we use it and stuff like that. But so yeah, that's kind of like where I'm coming from with that. It's like as a kid, I just kept having dreams and I didn't understand them. And so I've always been connected to the dream world that way.
Yeah. So you just felt it would be a good path for you to take to help other people understand the deeper meaning behind their dreams, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of people feel like that way that they might have a dream that's really powerful and they like they kind of know that it's more than just a dream and they kind of get curious about it. And that's a kind of a popular way for me for people to come to me or they hear I do dreams reading and then they might stay like to actually, receive guidance or, whatever it is that they might need. But a lot of people come to me for that, for the dream readings.
Yeah, and that starts. So do you find that starts their journey with you? I guess is I did an incomplete sentence there. That starts their journey with you. So you can be more like a mentor to them as
That's
they
right.
navigate this.
That's right.
Okay. All right. I love
As
that.
the yeah, yeah, that I've played that role. Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love that. That's so awesome. So tell me, on the dream thing, do you feel like, because I've heard so many times, I've found this to be true in my own dream world, that dreams are more metaphorical and not as often are they very literal. Is that what you have found to be true with dreams?
100%. Yes. Yes. Everything in the dream is a metaphor for something about your life. The dream speaks to us in metaphors. Yes. That's what I've learned. The way that I've learned to do is yes.
Okay, because I know a lot of people will dream about something and they'll be like, oh, they'll be wake up. Oh, for instance, my mother, when way back when I was a teenager, she had a dream that my dad cheated on her with a woman named Trudy, and she woke up and she was so mad at him. He's like, I don't even know a Trudy. You know what I mean? So, if we had broken that dream down for her, it would have meant something entirely different than what she actually dreamed about. So, I feel like that's very important for people to understand because I feel like some people get really upset about the literal interpretation of the dream, and that's not always what most often is not what it means at all.
I would say most common is it's all about what's going on with you and in your internal world. So
Hmm.
it in my experience, it's very, very rarely that it has anything to do with outside of like other relationships. It's all about the internal world, what's going on with you, because how you the way you your internal world is how you see yourself. That's how you're going to interact with the world. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, for with dreams, that is what I've found too, is that it's about our internal worlds
yeah, yeah. It all
and the
starts there, isn't
relationship
it?
that we have with ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, most of us don't have a very good relationship with ourselves. I know I didn't for a very long time, and that's something that I really had to work on. And it sounds like it's been the same with you. So I really feel like that's an important point to make.
Yeah, I used to hate myself. And it's kind of crazy to say that today, but it was a point where that wasn't crazy. And
Right.
I had no idea how to even go about addressing that. Like I had no idea. I just hated myself. And it's actually wild because I hadn't thought about those days in a long time until right now, until we're talking about this. But it was a time, yeah. It was a time that I did. I really did.
Wow. Wow. That's a really vulnerable share. Thank you for saying that because it is, I don't personally know if I ever hated myself, but I didn't like myself very much. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. So, and do you feel like it's this spiritual journey that helped you learn to love yourself? Would you say now that you do love yourself?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah. And that there was the spiritual journey that helped you with that, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Awesome.
And I would also add that hating myself was also part of the spiritual journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It was like the parts of myself that I hated is like there were parts that were for me in some way. They were protecting me from something, or they had a purpose, and the purpose was to keep me safe or to protect me. It was just going about it in a way that didn't serve me anymore.
Right.
So really what I called hate myself is really trying to protect me in a really self-destructive way.
Hmm. Yeah. Wow, I feel like we need to just sit with that for a second. That's intense, isn't it? Like that is crazy intense. I know there's someone out there right now that's going, "Holy shit, I really needed to hear that today." So, thank you for bringing that to the table because I feel like that is huge.
Of course, you're welcome.
Mm. Wow. Well, Ignacio, I'm super, super grateful to you for coming on here and sharing your soul like you have today. I have felt that. I don't know how anyone listening to this isn't going to feel that as you're talking about it. I mean, it's incredible, and I'm so grateful to you for that. So I would love for you to share with people where to find you. So if they find that they're in a place like this and they need someone to guide them through this craziness that's just, like this feeling of being lost and overwhelmed and in pain, I would love for you to tell them where they can find you so that you could help them navigate this crazy stuff.
Yeah, of course. And it feels like a storm. That's what it feels like for me. Like that's what it felt like. It's like a storm, but their only way out is through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I've found. And so I do have a website where people can reach me. It's divineenergyspiritual.com. And I've also started recently a YouTube channel, which I don't know which direction I'm going to take it. Yeah, I only got like 4 videos, but that is Sacred Soul Nexus on YouTube as well. So that's where you could reach me.
Awesome. And I'll drop those links in the description box below the video so that they can access you in a click. Thank you so much again for coming on here. Is there any last words you have before we close out for today?
No, I appreciate you, and I really enjoyed this conversation. So, I mean, I really appreciate you and your space.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us on another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I hope you found profound impact with this video today because it was so deep and powerful. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can get this out to everyone who needs it because there are so many who do. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. I love you all.